we're gonna get a little bit crazy. Wild and maybe even vulgar, if you please. It's after dark and we're gonna light it up. Got some fun in store for you, no tease. It's time for Midnight's Edge after dark. A little naughty, will hopefully make you chuckle. But we ain't trying to hurt nobody, so get ready quick on the double, cause it's time for Midnight's Edge after dark.
Greetings and welcome everybody to the program. It's Thursday night. Time for some Midnight's Edge After Dark. As the song promised, we're going to get a little bit nutty, maybe a little bit naughty. Hope we don't offend or hurt anybody. We don't mean to. But if you're offended, fuck off. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome to the program. We've got with us Script Doctor. How you doing?
I'm doing well, just catching up with what's been going on for the day. So happy to be here to share those thoughts with you all in the panel and in the chat.
Not all. I mean, today has been a slow news day compared to the rest of the week. In fact, one of our main stories, the top story, is something from the last, I think, day or so ago. But we just didn't have time to get to it for everything else. But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about some television shows, some actual television shows. Maybe we'll talk about this new X show, and maybe we'll get into the Paramount news. We'll see. I don't want to make too many promises because I want to try and squeeze most of the show in before the debates start, because I know a lot of people want to go watch that. So that being said, I see we have a Wild Christy in the chat. How you doing, Christy?
Oh, I love Christy.
Yes, she's gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much for that. And she also says, I'm so tired of fucking prequels. Well,
she's blunt, but she has a point.
It's very true. And I'm sure she's talking about the It prequel. But we'll get into that in just a few moments here. As we discuss
It in that case, I guess, right? Because it's capital.
Would it be? Because before, yeah, you're right. Probably. He's not quite the It he is years later.
Yeah.
But yes, and we also have some CC karaoke here. How are you doing? I think he doesn't realize he's muted, or he stepped away. But I'll do my best for him. Hey everybody, I'm CC Karaoke. It's time for some Midnight's Edge After Dark.
Actually, you kind of just said exactly what I was saying. I was muted from the intro, and I didn't realize it.
That's why I didn't realize it, because he thought it was his own voice.
But you were right. I said sorry, and then you said sorry, So all right, we're good. Sorry for being muted,
Yeah. I added a few more Canadianisms to it. But yeah, you don't usually say A as much as that. That's for sure.
It's only a local thing, really. We don't really broadcast it out publicly.
Yeah. Oh, you guys stop yourselves from saying it unless you're talking to each other in private.
Well, we have our own code, right? So.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Nick, all 32 flavors of them. Do you have a code?
Not yet. One day I will.
Are you gay coded?
Homoerotically coded.
Oh my! Welcome to the program, Nick. How you been?
Hey, I'm doing good. Had a good day at the kids today, and it was nice to be the family man. Now I'm here to talk some slow news, whichever that slow news may be. And hello chat and hello panel.
I hate to sell it that way. I mean, I wouldn't say it's necessarily slow news, but you're not wrong.
No, I almost feel like it was almost done by design, because you would have to have something really drastic happen in order to match the certain event that's going on in like less than an hour or so.
Which is basically what I said. Yeah, we want to kind of get in and out of here before then. So we have also with us Price of Reason. How are you doing?
Good. How's it going?
It's going, my friend. Glad to have you here.
Everybody today is focused on on all of these pop culture things. There's nothing else going on of interest.
Psh, yeah, that's totally what we're talking about. Tripping Orc also gifted 5 memberships. Holy cow, thank you guys. That's very generous. And speaking of, over on the Midnight's Edge side, because for those who don't know, I proved once again that Mikey is a much better YouTuber than me by setting up the stream wrong. And Mr. Tickle Trunk gifted 5 memberships over on the Midnight's Edge side. And we also got a $10 super chat over on that side, or $9.99 from Toga Free. Says, did y'all see the clip of Mr. Terrific playing with Crypto? James Gunn is cooking. So glad Snyder versus Dead. Hi, Mikey. Snyder would have made Crypto a Rottweiler that kills kids. Ouch. Superpowered Cujo. You're probably not wrong. I did not see that specific video, but I did see some other ones. And I do remember him saying that something about Crypto was going to be in the film. So I'm kind of surprised.
I mean, I saw the actor playing Mr. Terrific looked like he was throwing out dog treats from a bag or something, but but it looked all, I mean, it was just him there. He was obviously playing opposite something that was going to be animated in later. But I looked at it as a couple of ways. Either he was playing with a dog or he was playing with his Mr. Terrific spheres and setting them up for something. But I don't know. We'll find out, I guess, next year exactly what that scene was.
Oh, that's gonna be the Stream of the Ages script. When we all see that, I have a thing that's somewhere we're all be primed for that one.
Yes,
I can already see it now. It's just a little over a year away, just a little over. You there, Tom?
Don't everybody stop talking at once.
I was letting Nick finish his thoughts.
And my thought was nice, quick, and swift.
Swift.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we'll keep moving along here. I think we have. Did we get Tripping Orcs? Yeah, we did.
You did know.
We did now. Thank you so much. I know we did. Yeah. But thank you again. We like to hear the claps. Let's see here. We've got. Let's get into our news.
Yeah.
Mikey is out, so he's not happy. No, I'm just kidding.
I heard he was smoking a cigar.
Something to that effect, he said. So we'll see about the Paramount part of it. We'll get into it maybe a little bit, but I just don't want to get too deep into it without knowing everything about it. But this I know a little bit about, and this is something that's kind of interesting. This happened over the last couple days here. Out of the blue, Max decided, or at least I shouldn't say out of the blue they decided. Out of the blue, we got this report that they had decided. I'm sure this is something that's been a little while coming. That no longer are 3 specific series going to be HBO Max exclusives. They're actually, or Max exclusives, let's say. They're actually going to be on HBO originals. That doesn't mean they're not going to be on HBO Max. It just means that they're going to be on HBO original first. And that's kind of a big deal. I'm going to get into why that is in just a moment. But those series are the upcoming announced Harry Potter series, the It prequel series, Welcome to Deary, and other Warner Brothers Temple series to be branded as HBO Max. The other one, of course, being Green Lantern. And was there any other ones that they name in here? I don't think so. But that being said, I have a feeling that Script Doctor is going to have roughly the same take on this that I am. So let's start with you. I think Penguin is the other one here that they listed.
Penguin's going to be on HBO first, and then
Penguin
going on Max later. It's
yeah.
Well, I mean, they're just basically using. They're trying to bring back the television distribution window model, which is good. It's going to be on HBO. Then it'll probably go to a third-party licensee for a spell, and then it'll come back and land at its final home, which would be Max.
Or even if it goes from HBO to straight to Max, it's still a better idea than shoving it straight on Max. Yep. And we have a Wild Christie here. Holy crap. Not only do we get her in our chat.
Hello.
We got her on the stream. It's been a tick and a half. How you been?
I hate streaming. it's just like prequels nowadays. You have the source material. Please live up to the source material. And they won't. They're going to change something.
Well, funnily, I don't remember it ever having an actual source material for the prequel. There might be some stuff in the book that didn't get used, but It's
But
been
that's,
so long since I've read it.
no, I didn't think about that, but it's just it's irritating. I love how everyone talks about what's that new Star Wars show? As you can tell,
Acolyte?
I'm not as you can tell, I'm not a Star Wars person. And like how everybody is the uproar of that, I am with House of the Dragon. And fucking everybody loves House of the Dragon.
So are you not? a fan of
Full
it?
confession,
I
I
don't
never
think
seen
we
anything Game of
George
Thrones.
Martin.
We will
Yeah.
no. I don't want to deviate from what your topics are, but it's just it yeah. Prequels with source material, you should obey the source material that's available, in my
I
opinion.
mean,
I would
you
agree.
don't want to see Pennywise in Clown School?
It's just, I mean, with Pennywise, I mean, like watching the made for TV the miniseries back in the
Yeah.
90s, that scared the shit out of me as a
Oh, yeah,
kid.
same here.
And
Scarred me for life.
and like I for the longest time, my password for a lot of things was clowns are fucking creepy. I hate
Nice.
clowns.
Now I know how to
And-
get into all your stuff.
Oh, it's not that anymore. But like it's I genuinely hated clowns. The miniseries was great, but no, absolutely not.
Why did you change your password to Tom is creepy? What the fuck? I just got into all your stuff. I'm gonna order some shit on Amazon. Fuck it.
I don't even have an Amazon account.
I know, it was a joke.
I know. But it's just they should do a service. And I love the person who put my channel, like subscribe to According to Christy. I haven't done content in like 3 fucking years. So yeah. Subscribe to everybody else on the panel. They're great. I lurk everybody. I don't comment in the chat, but I lurk everywhere.
Well, we love it when you do comment because you have the hot takes. So you're not looking forward to the It series, obviously. But I know the Harry Potter series is going to be a big deal one way or the other for a lot of folk. And the Green Lantern one possibly has potential. Now, Penguin, we've talked about that at length on here now a few times. So, but yeah, so outside of that, are you looking forward to any of these, Christy, at all? Or
Oh, sure. I'm going to sail the high seas.
okay.
I mean, I just when can I be really frank here is when I'm someone who doesn't know Star Wars at all. But like when I talk to anyone who knows Star Wars, I can look at believe it's Jaina, Jace, and Anakin Solo type thing. And I look up their wiki and like their kids or and stuff like that. So I actually look at that information. I don't advertise that, but I'm like, okay, I believe that's what they call legends now, if I'm not mistaken. Please correct me. But
You'd be correct.
it's just it shits on all that material to have something like this. As someone who doesn't pay attention to the shows or the books, videos, whatnot, in my opinion. Because you want me as someone, I am the normie here, and you want me to be someone who watches this. And when I watch this, I laugh because I just think it's fucking stupid. But because I don't know what the chick's name is, I'm not gonna begrudge the actress, but like the character looks like what I used to see on Cartoon Network. I don't know what the show is called, but like when she does her little hand moves and stuff like that, I was like, that's Cartoon Network. If that makes sense.
Are you still talking about the Acolyte or a different show?
The Acolyte. Yes, I'm talking about the Acolyte. I know I'm completely all over the place. It's just if you have the material, why not just use it?
Yeah.
You're thinking way too logically about this. It's not that I don't disagree with you. I 100% am on board with you as someone who came from the Marvel Comics side of things. I feel that from a different perspective, similar but different, of course. but they think that they could take what's something that people love. Either A, they are ashamed of what they're adapting, or B, they feel like they could do a better job of something that a lot of people already like. They're really cocky, and they also this is pretty much a near top to bottom thing, whether it's the editors and the people before and under them, where they all agree on just having everything being so neutered. That's why it is what it is. Like when they cast people on a lot of these major IPs, and I know this one for sure, particularly with Marvel, they say they don't want people who are into these things, and they know it's definitely like if they get someone who's going to challenge them, that's something that they have to deal with, and they don't want to deal with anyone who's going to challenge them on the vision they want, because they want to tell their story. And they also know a lot of people who want to tell their story are people who know they can't bring people to watch their story, so they got to insert it into an IP. I'll give you an example, and I think you'll be able to follow me, so I'll try to make this as accessible as possible.
Absolutely.
There was a DC comic about a little over half a decade ago, and there was a character who was done really dirty to. He went by the name Wally West. He's known to many as the Flash, and a lot of really bizarre things happened to this character. And of course, there was an outrage about it, rightfully so. And even before then, a lot of people are saying that Wally's not acting like the Wally that we knew, until I heard the writer of that story said, "Oh yeah, I just went to DC because I already had the story pre-written, and I just asked which characters are available." So if you're ever wondering why some characters don't act like characters, because a lot of these guys even have their stories written, and they just get to now insert the pre-existing characters into the story that they've already written. I'm not saying that happens all the time, but that definitely happens at least a percentage of the time.
Thank you so much. I know, like, I probably caused confusion because I just don't. I talk out of my ass.
No confusion here. I just hope what I said made sense. I don't know if you followed that.
And I don't mean to hijack the show. It's just it's prequel this, prequel that, and if there is source material with quote unquote prequels, it should be to an extent. I mean, you have the map to what to look at. Yeah. So don't fuck it up. And people might fuck it up, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, a lot of them are doing that on purpose, because a lot of people are ashamed of what they're doing, which is really ironic when they talk about this is the safe thing to do. Because if you actually put it in perspective, a lot of these things, these big major IPs, that once upon a time they weren't popular. Everything starts somewhere. And we clearly have forgotten that once upon a time, Star Wars was as big as it was. Once upon a time, Marvel or DC, all that stuff, these were not these mega monolithic entities, but it's like we're pretending that they always were, even though they weren't. Everything got a start. That's why it's a good thing. The Matrix.
At the end of the day, I love watching everyone just geek out about stuff and just showing their passion on whatever topic it is. It's awesome to see that.
Agreed.
Tom? I don't mean to hijack the show, Tom.
No, you're fine.
No, you're welcome.
Honestly, before we get too deep into other things, I mean, Harry Potter, I know, speaking of source material, that's actually going to be they're remaking the entire story with new kids, is my understanding. So that will be actually using the source material on probably a lot more than what was in the other movies. Like I said, Green Lantern, I don't know if that's going to be a prequel series or be wrapped around the Superman version of the character or not. We have to yet to be seen.
Wasn't that
unless anybody knows more on that
announced way before the now rebooted James Gunn led DCU? What I feel like that was announced way back when.
So Greg Berlanti was trying to do a Green Lantern series with John Ramsey.
Oh yeah, the guy from Arrow.
Arrow. And it almost got picked up, and then Zaslav came in and he saw what the pre-production was for it and said, "This is terrible," and he nixed it. But James Gunn was like, well, a Green Lantern television series could be really good. And so he didn't necessarily revive it. He just basically took the premise and he's like, I'm going to do my own thing. And I think his is going to be focused on Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart as a buddy cop series. That's the rumor so far. I don't know if that's actually going to be delivered in the end that way. but
Mhm.
that's the direction that one's going. So I don't think it's a prequel. I just think it's a buddy cop show. With regards to
Berlanti is no longer involved.
last I heard, Berlanti wasn't even allowed on the lot at Warner Brothers, but apparently he's got his hooks into a couple of things still there.
Will he get an executive producer credit, or he's out of the project and we'll never see him again? Which is what I really hope, because when they announced that he was in charge of it, I already had a bad feeling about it.
Well, when his was canceled, he was ejected out, and that was like the last thing he did. And I don't see any of his names associated to this new one because it has nothing to do with anything that he worked on. Because I think his Green Lantern thing was the John Stewart, but also using some original lanterns that John Stewart would be training, kind of like in a team. My understanding is James Gunn's
probably
not
the
using any
same
of
dumb
that.
crap that they did with Arrow in the later seasons, where he has a bunch of jerk offs that he needs to, he's supposedly the leader
when it
of.
became another team show and not about the
Right.
actual
That's
hero,
all
but
Berlanti
use the
does.
name.
Felicity Smoke, like giving him orders all day.
Yeah, well, might be something like that. I don't know, but that's not, from what I've understand, that's not anything that James Gunn is doing. He's doing something that
I
probably
hope
be a little
so.
bit more
I
like
hope
Guardians
James
of the
Gunn
Galaxy
can
with two
deliver
guys.
something. I hope James Gunn won't mess this up.
I'm already
Well, we'll
concerned
have to
about
see.
that with Superman. I mean, he's got all these other heroes involved, and it just seems like a DEI version of the Superman story. And like I said before, and I
DEI
said way back when Claudia was with us, it's one these characters had like an after credit scene or like a cameo sized role. But I'm worried that when one of the first photos we saw, we already got Mr. Terrific. Don't get me wrong, I like how he looks. However, I want this to be a Superman story, not Superman and Friends, because otherwise we're just getting a big budget version of the CW.
It depends. I mean, there's already been story leaks reported where it's actually very much still a Superman story. It just involves how he's different than all the other heroes that currently exist in the world, and that's causing trouble.
Can I ask something about that?
Sure.
Why is he different?
Why is Superman different?
Yeah, well, no, the new guy, because no offense, I mean Henry Cavill, Henry Cavill is very pretty, okay? So I mean, this new guy that's coming in, what is different about this movie versus what he was doing, what they did before in the Superman?
To put it in the most bluntest and simplest of terms, first of all, this was never going to be a Henry Cavill movie to begin with. This was always, even before James Gunn took over, this was set up like another The Batman project with him. This just kind of got grandfathered in when he decided to take over DCU, and it will be the de facto new Superman. The other side of it is he wanted a younger take on it, which, I mean, granted, Cavill's getting up there in age. I mean, no, he's not too old to play the character per se, but if you want a young Superman that's going to be playing the role for the next 10 years, you're probably better off going off with a younger actor. Secondly, this actor probably costs a third of what Henry Cavill would cost. That's a big thing, I'm sure.
He's making less than Rachel Brosnahan. I know that.
Yeah, and thirdly, it's just because he's starting his own thing and you don't want to have it confused, which is another problem with him keeping some of his other characters from before, but that's another conversation we have. I understand the move, but I also understand everybody else's reaction as to why not Cavill. And mainly just because that boat has sailed.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha.
It is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first time we're actually going to see, since Brandon Routh, where the actor playing Superman is actually playing a Clark Kent type character. Because
that's a big
Henry
one
never got
too.
to play Clark Kent. He played Superman with glasses.
he also played Batman with powers on top of it. Like, no disrespect to Henry Cavill, and I know this was not his fault in the history of ever, but Henry Cavill was so respectful of a actor that ultimately all he did was just play the game, and because he played the game, we got what we got out of the atrocity that was the Snyder movies, and that's really unfortunate because obviously he had the look, he had the muscle. And, you've seen what happens when he's given good material to work with as far as scripts go. Henry Cavill, as an actor speaking, he's got the talent, and we'll never know what he could have been. I would like to have seen him in a bright red and blue suit, trunks, and with the S curl. But, Zack Snyder has a one-way vision of how he saw things versus James Gunn's vision, which as of now, and I hope it could change, but as of now, it just looks like it's nothing more than the lesser of two evils.
And that's what I think is really sad is with it's Brandon Routh. Is that his last name? If I'm
The
not
new
mistaken.
guy?
Yeah,
No.
No.
Brandon before.
Yeah, that
before.
was Brandon Routh. Yeah, Superman Returns.
So why is it that when I watched that, I actually was like, okay, it's different, but why wasn't he ever granted like an extended contract or a sequel?
That's easy. Superman Returns didn't do well. It was considered by not just critically, but people like me who were there opening night were really disappointed in the movie. So ultimately, he wasn't given our chance. And then you can thank or blame the Dark Knight trilogy, depending on your perspective.
Gotcha.
Once that came out, like, oh, hey, let's not only reboot Superman again, because if you remember, the Ralph movie actually took place after the first two Reeve movies. So their whole gist was for you to pretend that the third and fourth movies did not take place. You're supposed to roll it as takes place years after the second movie. And remember when the Batman movies were being called the Dark Knight trilogy, they thought they can probably do a similar thing with Superman, but except have it be called Man of Steel. So they went with not only the nickname, but also the name that sounded more serious or could be taken more seriously for adults.
Well, they made two mistakes. Yeah.
And then we also saw how Man of Steel turned out. And
I mean, Nick, you're accurate for the most part, but you're missing the biggest aspect, and Tom will probably.
Which part am I missing?
That Superman Returns and everything that was developed for it had about a 15 years of development costs leading up.
You're
to
right.
It was never
Superman
going to make money.
Lives, Superman McG movie, Superman Nicolas Cage. Yeah, no, you're right. Script that's a whole other can of worms.
True, and that's a big part of it is that it just didn't make enough for Warner Brother Brass to think that it was going to be. To continue with that version, and then and the next part is right. You're not right, Nick. For better or for worse, the Dark Knight changed all. Like a lot of what we have here right now that we're dealing with and mired in is because of the Dark Knight. Because the Dark Knight came out and made $1 billion, and they said, "Oh, people not only like dark, serious Batman, they really like dark, serious Batman." So let's make all the superheroes dark, and serious. So that's why they had Zack Snyder come in and literally do what Nolan did for Batman on Man of Steel. And instead of actually taking the idea of what they were doing with Batman Begins, they literally just redid it. Like almost.
Can I share a really stupid take? Like, this is really stupid and off the top. Like, it's like I will be 40 this year. And I remember watching Power Rangers. And then you have the episode, like the 2017 movie, and you see the trailer, and I'm just like, you know what? I kind of like this one, where this one is going. But at the end of the day, when I watched the movie, I didn't like it because it didn't align. Because what am I trying to say?
The whimsy of what Power Rangers was.
Well, not even the whimsy of what Power Rangers was. It's just it's what I thought it expected as I grew up. And maybe I don't want to derail the conversation, so I'm so sorry, but it's just
Superman's a good combo too.
Yeah. It's just like everything. You have a new Superman or whatever every 5 to 10 years. So what's to make me watch this new movie that they're shooting now?
Actually, I have a question for you then, as some because you are a self-described kind of normie in this, right? Is there anything in the last like 20 plus years that would make you a Superman fan?
Absolutely not. It's kind of like what I go to when I come to the Spider-Man movies, because I always differentiate between I'm gonna
Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland.
There you go. It's right? Just like I grew up in. Whenever I went to watch the movies, was Tobey Maguire. Andrew Garfield, I always liked the emotion and his expressions, and then Tom Holland was just like a refresher of like, okay, this kid is great at what he does and in the script and stuff like that. So it's great to get back into the series. But no offense, but I'm always going to be Tobey Maguire. That is what I watched when I was in school. That is my go-to
Team Tobey.
Spider-Man.
He's also the best one out of the three, really.
Yeah, I'm with both of you on that one.
I mean, Tom Holland is a bit like there's something about him that like he's okay, but you don't really like him. You know what I mean? Like
no, it's true.
Like
this is one
he's
case
not
where I
bad.
won't
He's
go
not
with
bad.
my average age group. I actually kind of like Tom Holland better as Spider-Man.
He's got the age. Yeah, that's one thing. Yeah,
thing. And
Toby and Andrew Garfield
he does look like he should be in high
I like
school.
Toby. I love Toby, but that's the problem. Toby Maguire is like a 30-year-old playing a teenager.
Exactly.
Which was a thing in the 90s.
He did it well, though. He did it well. I don't
one at a
mind that
time,
he's
please,
30
guys.
years old.
Yeah, no, but what did you say, Script?
Well, Tobey Maguire doesn't have a very masculine or authoritative voice for an adult or a Spider-Man like, because I still think of like the old cartoon from the 60s where his Peter Parker is a little wimpy, but his Spider-Man is actually like a man with a little bit of attitude and give to it. That's what I appreciated Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland that had that. Even though they could go wimpy, they could also make a remark that didn't sound like someone going through puberty trying to make fun of me.
It's all my fault. Uncle Ben is dead now, and it's all my fault. That's pretty much exactly what he sounds like.
That's true. It's like you have the Uncle Ben.
Well, that was the cartoon one, but yeah.
Well, what I mean by that is like you have the Uncle Ben, and I'm sorry, it doesn't matter what series it is, but to not have the Uncle Ben thing in with Tom Holland, in my opinion, that's sacrilegious. I'm sorry, I don't give a flying fuck.
Well,
whatever it is.
Here's the thing there, Christy. It's never been said if it did or did not happen. There's been vague acknowledgments. Like, if you remember in Civil War, he talked about how he put on the suit and then he said the acknowledgement, then the bad things happened when he met Tony. And then if you remember, I think it was Far From Home, he had the briefcase that had his Uncle Ben's initial. So it's clear that that character exists in that universe. So they've never said if it did or didn't happen. I mean, that's really hard to say.
I understand, but I'm the silly normie that wants to see that.
Yeah, I don't want to see that three times. I grew up as a major Spider-Man fan. To me, it's one of those water's wet, the sky is blue. Batman's parents got killed at Crime Alley. We know it. We don't need to go over it 100 times over.
But that's the problem. Like, it's not about you. It's about the new audience. And there's always going to be a new audience.
Knows that.
No, they don't.
Usually. You're talking to a girl who watched X-Men, watched Batman, the animated series, watched Sailor Moon, watched Goku, Digimon, Pokemon, like all of these things. I watched this shit growing up. I don't have the enthusiasm as a lot of people after I grew up as an adult, but I still remember that. And so if you're trying to get me into the new stuff that's going on, I'm like, hold up, wait a minute, something is just not right. Is because whenever I'm watching that, it doesn't look the same.
You'll never get something that'll look the same. I get your point on that. I do get your point.
I don't mean to apologize so much, but I don't want to
a little bit in the back.
I'd rather you stand by your points of view. I mean, that's one thing we do here. We stand by our point of views with conviction, whether we all agree or disagree. It's just the way the cookie crumbles on things. I mean, that's just, it happens, and sometimes it happens for good. And of course, in more recent years, it's definitely changed for a lot of cases worse.
We were talking a little bit in the back earlier about how things have gotten worse. And one of the reasons they have is because there's so many shortcuts nowadays. It's like back in the day, I say old man yells at cloud a little bit, but back in the day, if you wanted to achieve a shot, you'd actually have to work for it, right? You have to figure out how to put the things in frame. Now you can just click a button and have AI create the thing for you. Of course it's not going to be as good because it doesn't have that human touch. It doesn't have that effort and that work and that hand painted feel anymore because it's just machine generated like on a factory line, you know? Just derivative of all, like, it'll be derivative of Digimon. Digimon was created by a person who had the thought to create something new and original. The new Digimon is just going to be an AI reproduction of what it thinks Digimon will look like. And it'll
it's a digital speculation. Or what was the phrase? I've heard it like a couple of times. I even think you shared a video that used it as well, which is that the AI creation is really just an elaborate form of plagiarism.
Oh yeah, that video I
really
just shared
purely-
earlier. Yeah, that I was thinking about talking about this a little bit. We can get into it a little bit, but yeah, no, basically, and this is what you and I have said for so long, script, about it being simulated intelligence.
Yeah.
It's not really generating anything new. And yeah, so Suno and some of the other companies now are facing possible lawsuits because basically, just like with the George Carlin suit, they're taking them to court for copyright infringement because they're training their AI with copyrighted songs. And
Yeah.
what it's spitting out on the other end is basically just amalgamated ideas of what a song should sound like, but it's based in existing songs already. So and this is where it's going to come to a head with AI. And I'm not mad about it at all, really, even somebody who has used it for AI songs, because it's going to get to a point where it does need to be regulated. We do need to find a way to either get past it or
needs to be conditioned to the point where it doesn't infringe or violate the individual property of the people that make it. What's funny is that a couple of guys that were I was told that they were fired, but I haven't been able to verify this. But a couple of guys from Weta, Peter Jackson's special effects company, have they were fired from Weta, and now they have joined one of the AI effects companies that's going to be generating effects using generative AI. And I thought that's kind of funny, where it seems like, oh yeah, the people that suck at their jobs who got fired are jumping into the AI stuff. And that goes in part and parcel with the problem, which is that AI is a shortcut that doesn't give you anything or give you any real skills at the end of the day. It just creates a level of convenience, which is something that, I mean, frankly, it's going to be hurting the entertainment industry for a while, because people would rather have something more convenient than something that they actually have to put a little bit of effort into experience. That's why people are now, as that movies seem to be taking a turn for a little bit more of a higher quality in regards to their lack of messaging, but also trying to glean a bit more into fun. They don't want to go to the theater because it's more convenient for them to stay at home in their own more safe environment with more control around them to enjoy the entertainment without, some people maybe just disrupting the theater or the drive, the commute, any of the other the extreme costs that's been associated with it recently for a lot of people. It's how do you compete with that at this point? Might have to start leaning into it the way that studios leaned in with television to make it a complementary advertisement to their feature films, but also fund television programs to keep people watching it so that they're not forgotten as technology grows.
I do think it's something that normal people would notice, even if they're not totally aware, they'll notice it. And like just what comes to mind is you think about TV, right? Something you have to produce quickly, and look at that kind of mass production. There's like with music, for example. If you have sentience, if you're a person and you're sitting there and you have to produce it and you have to put in the work, you're gonna create music for that episode of the television show. It may not be award winning, but it'll match the feeling of the scene, right? You're gonna sit there and you're gonna create a soundscape for that scene that fits the mood of it and elicits an emotional reaction from the viewer. But if you tell AI, well, this is a dark and creepy scene, so give me some dark and creepy music, it'll never match the actual scene because it doesn't have the sentience to watch the scene, to understand it, and to try and create something specific and unique to that scene. It's just going to give something based on the input mood that's generic to all whatever it understands of that mood, right? So you're not going to be able to get that reaction from the audience because there's no personal connection for an audience to something that hasn't been given a personal connection in the creation process, right? And even if the audience isn't actively aware that this was done in that way, even if they're not actively thinking of it, they're going to lack that emotional connection subconsciously because it's not there in the first place.
The other part too is that as a species, just like what we did in the 90s and early 2000s, is that our eyes get trained to recognize when something is fake. Like the entire computer animated revolution that happened with special effects in Hollywood, it basically keyed it up to the point where we're like, yep, I can tell that's a digital composite. That's not real. There's no practical effects there. I can tell that those cars are not really cars there. They're computer animated and thrown in, blowing up in weird ways and whatnot. The fire doesn't look authentic or real. That's all basically to the detriment of the new technology because it's been so overused that it no longer fools the viewer. And,
I'll
to your
give you
point, CC, there's also where's the depth that comes from a human being who looks at a shot to try and sync up music and realize, hey, there's something else going on under here. Maybe I can evoke a song or a couple of or an instrument or a melody that conveys what I picked up, and maybe that will add more to the scene. And then that's that random act of brilliance that allows the director and the production to collaborate with that composer to be like, yes, we've caught something that lightning in a bottle. This was great. You can't get that through AI.
And it takes the audience out of it, right? I mean, it just reminds me. Okay, back in 1994, I was 9 years old or whatever when The Lion King came out, and I remember I went to see that with my family, and it's one of those kind of like flashbulb memories, right? We were leaving the theater, and my mom turns to me and says, "I forgot that I was watching an animated film." And I mean, that was a hand-drawn film, right? I mean, that was back when Disney was good. and I remember looking at some of the supplementary material around that film, how they studied the animals that they were drawing. They tried to understand the animals, how they move, how they act, right? There was nothing CG about that. It wasn't lions exactly emulating humans. It was lions emulating lions. It was drawn by humans who were trying to understand how these animals would act in reality, and it was given that kind of organic movement. And so I don't think my mom was alone when she said that. When like, they got an audience to forget that they were watching something hand drawn.
Well, that's something Disney was amazing at, because I mean, and that's why people didn't believe you could pull it off with Snow White and beyond that and Bambi and so on. Actually getting people to first of all have feelings and give a crap and get invested in a full-length film starring an animated character, and then to take it that step further and do it to an animal, right? So, I mean, that was pretty much magic. I mean, to stop and think about, nobody had really done that before, and had the idea that, people might actually get invested in and watch a whole entire animated film, or actually believe and get invested in characters that weren't even human, right? It's movie magic, and it's something that's missing. And I want to get more into this AI discussion. I kind of want to save it for a day where we can really dig deeper into it, because it was a great video that was put out by what's his face, Beto,
Rick Beato.
Rick Beato.
Rick Beato.
Beato, sorry.
Yeah, however you say it, Beato. Yeah, and it's an interesting video, and I'd love to break it down a little bit, because I think it can be extrapolated to the film industry and television industry as well. So yeah, I think it'd be something to be interested to get into talking about. But we got some super chats here. Let's get to first. RRTNZ sends in 5, I believe that's New Zealand dollars. Says, "Rip Mike Claudio Alonso." Indeed. Yes, rest in peace, my brother. Boldly gone, but never forgotten. Missing his trek in comic streams, a true comic connoisseur. Always warm and friendly. Indeed.
Yes, sir.
I share those thoughts.
Yep.
Kenneth Dowling sends in $10. Says, "Hello, guys. Just stopping by. Hope all is well. Best Peter Parker Spider-Man combo in entertainment is Christopher Daniel Barnes from the 90s cartoon. That's a fact, not an opinion. Peace."
I would strongly suggest checking out Josh Keaton over on Spectacular Spider-Man, because that series, even though it got only 2 seasons, was way better than anything the 90s came up with on Marvel.
I second Script's thoughts. And I say that as someone who grew up with Spidey animated series. When Spectacular was new, I thought to myself nothing was going to top it until I watched Spectacular. Not only were the stories better, but the fight scenes were way better. And Spider-Man actually threw a punch. The only thing that the animated series did better was have the greater acknowledgement of the wider Marvel universe. Now, that said, I'm happy you feel that way. I respect your opinion, but for me, as a Spider-Man story as a whole, Spectacular takes the cake. And that comes from the guy, once again, who was all over the animated series.
I got my New Adventures of Batman animated series in the mail yesterday.
Ooh,
nice.
Yeah. So we get to break
I
it.
have
That's
a
the one
really
that's
stupid question.
Yeah.
Why are they doing the X-Men animated series again?
Oh, the sequel series?
Yeah, because it was so popular.
Okay,
I mean,
they're not changing anything, are they?
No.
It's already been done and out, actually.
It's done. It takes place after the original season 5 of the original show.
What?
Yeah,
Yep,
I
it's
watched
a sequel
it.
series to it, so it's not a
As you
reboot.
can, as people can tell, I haven't watched it.
Okay, yeah.
So,
It rushes through a lot
Warning,
of
Christy is a normie.
yeah. It
I'm
rushes through
very
a lot
much
of
a
extra
normie.
stories, but it's not bad. I thought the ending was a little weak, given where I think they're headed. But other than that, it's pretty solid show.
But you can't like me waking up like Saturday morning cartoons, like hearing that like I knew what the fuck I was watching. So like, and when I saw that, I was just like, I'm not watching this because I don't know what they've changed. So
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that they did better, and this is something I will stand strongly by. If there's one thing I believe that they did better, they made Cyclops absolutely awesome.
good. I'm glad people.
Yeah, he's less whiny.
In the original
For
show,
the most
he
part,
was.
I've heard good reviews of it. Yeah.
Yeah, me and
But,
Globby.
It's kind of the joke, right? Because on the last earnings call, Bob Iger said the quiet part out loud. We're doing these things based on existing properties so that we don't have to spend the advertising money to get people to watch them. But
Yeah.
From your mouth, which I'm sure you speak for many people, you don't care about it because you don't trust it to be good. It's not going to be what you remember anyways.
Mm-hmm.
It's guy doesn't quite understand. But that's why they're doing it.
Yeah. Well, we got another super chat here before we get to our next story. E. Clay Thomason sending in 10 smackaroos. Thank you so much, E. Clay. Have you seen Night Riders? 1981 movie. This movie is cocaine-fueled extravaganza, bikers in medieval armor, jousting on motorcycles, hot women, little people, with Stephen King makes an appearance. I have not seen it.
Oh, I've seen it. I've actually
but I do own it.
Yeah, you own it. On a Fat Steven stream, I got to talk with Patricia Tallman, who played Julie in that movie. So yeah, you should go find that old conversation. That was fun.
And also, it's made by George Romero. What's that?
Sorry, what?
I said, will this be a stupid movie I actually like?
Maybe. It's a
falls
crazy
into that.
80s action.
You're forgetting, like, I'm the girl that likes Tremors is my favorite movie ever. So
I mean, it's about like knights on motorcycles and shit from the guy who made Dawn of the Dead and Return of Living, or Night of the
really?
Living Dead.
Yeah.
I will have to check it out then.
Tom, we need to talk about this movie.
The main guy is what's his face? Ed Harris. I was just gonna say, yeah, Ed Harris. Yeah, Tom Savini's in it too. Cool. Yeah, I gotta watch it. I somebody told me about it years ago. I did not even ever hear of it, and I finally picked it up not that long ago. But
you shave, Tom?
Yeah, I do that sometimes.
Whoa. Like Keanu Reeves level of whoa.
Whoa.
There is no beard.
Literally, there is no beard. Literally.
So, like, I really stupid comparison, but it's like I'm working right now, but I'm so fucking bored. I'm like, I'm going on this live stream, and this instructor reminds me of fucking Ferris Bueller, Ben Stein, Bueller. I'm like, so,
anyone?
Yeah.
Come on, people. So yes, streaming. Elon and X have thrown their hat into the
oh shit, really?
Streaming game here.
Wait, did Elon actually fund this, or is he just?
I don't know if he funded it. I know he's gonna make an appearance on it. I don't know if he's one of the producers or not. That's a good point. But it is the first series to premiere on X.
And I just got to put in here, X doesn't even have a function to properly search for videos yet.
You're right.
Yeah.
Come on.
And that's one reason why outside of the live shows here and there, I don't really post much on X outside of like little ads and goofy little things like that, because yeah, they don't really have a search function to be able to do this stuff too. Well, anyway, point being, let's watch a little bit. This clip is like 3 hours and 42 seconds. So I don't know if this is the entire first episode.
Hours. No, it's 3 minutes and 49
3 minutes. I thought it,
brace
I
yourself.
don't know why I said hours.
It feels like 3 hours.
Maybe
It's so
felt
bad.
like 3 hours. That must be why I said it. Exactly. Because at first
not even
glance, I'm
trying.
like, okay, it's a parody of All in the Family, probably, which it kind of is. I mean, literally, they have the exact setup of All in
That
the
is the
Family.
house.
And this
Yeah, just different.
main
chairs.
guy looks just like Archie Bunker, et cetera, et cetera. So here we go. This is called The New Norm.
What's that?
Progress. It's the new norm.
The new norm ain't the same as the old norm. I'm the old norm. I want normal beer.
That song is clearly AI.
What the fuck?
Warning, predator reached. Ugh. It's your fault I got house arrest.
You're the one who threatened the school board,
I gently suggested
yelled.
they stop brainwashing my daughter that girls aren't girls and men aren't men.
Sometimes they're neither, or both, or furry and dressed like dogs.
Ow! Janice. What's that?
Warning, offensive.
Actually, that is one of my pronouns. Also, they, them, and me.
You're non-binary?
How do you know that word?
I learned it in school.
That's why I'm locked up.
Norm, the judge agreed to conditional parole.
What condition?
Where's my room?
That's
You're
staying here?
Chaz is part of a new government program
To re-educate homophobic, transphobic, racist.
Charlie, finally, someone normal.
I don't understand. You're black.
Did that just Black Whisper?
You're his friend?
And boss? Speaking of, when you coming back to the trophy shop?
As soon as I get rid of this, which means I gotta take in that?
Offensive.
Chaz is here to re-educate Norm.
In non-bonery studies.
Offensive.
I'm allergic to dogs.
It's okay. Billy is an emotional support dog and non-binary.
Oh, okay then. Good dog.
I come here.
Okay.
This isn't a joke, is it? This is
No.
actually real?
No.
You're
no.
joking, right?
No.
This is
Serious.
so bad.
It is.
Where
Yes,
where is
let's-
this from?
X.
I don't know what that means.
Twitter.
It's the new name that Elon Musk gave it.
Bruh.
I had
Wait.
to watch this. Oh,
There's
man.
still more to it yet, but yeah.
Well, there is more, and it
Don't-
gets worse.
Please,
It gets
honestly,
subject me to
please
it.
don't play more. I know I'm over talking, but please don't play anymore.
No, you're
because
fine. You're fine.
This is. Are you fucking serious?
This
I can't
is
make this shit up.
as
No.
bad, if not worse, than Lady Ballers. Maybe
Yeah,
worse.
I don't
See,
know what that. I don't know what that is either.
Lady Ballers was the
Keep
movie
it
the
that
Daily
way.
Wire put together.
It was,
Yeah, they're actually the Daily Wire's cartoon show, Mr. Bertram or something, is also really terrible. as well.
Yeah.
I don't.
Just really,
You know what?
really on the nose.
Right, it's on the nose.
I'm
That's
gonna
exactly
the
it.
other
Susan.
Politics.
side of the message. This is something that reminds me of what I said earlier on the twits. I said, like, giving the other side of the message is not going to make anything better. Even if I agree with most of what's being said, that doesn't matter, because when that takes priority over the entertainment factor, it doesn't
Bingo.
matter.
So yeah, so like this is what I was saying on Twitter is like this is the same exact thing as what the woke crowd does, but it's the other side of it. And to me, it still comes off just as cringe and bad. And take that away, it's still a horribly written show.
Yep.
First of all, you got a character, and I think Script will agree with me here, talking about something that you should actually be seeing, not talking about.
Yeah. I'd love to see him at a PTA meeting being like, what are you telling my daughter?
And that's bullshit.
can I-
This animation, you have no excuse. Sorry,
Exactly.
Christy. Go
No.
ahead.
No. Okay. I don't have children. I have two nieces. One is 16. One is 8. When I went to support my sister and stuff like that, you know what? I don't give a shit if you identify as a fucking rainbow, but do not preach that shit to my nieces who are fucking minors. Do not show anything in books or anything like that that hurt my sister and my brother-in-law are not already teaching them, because they
They are trying
already
to do that,
fucking
yeah.
know. And like this show right here does. I am getting so mad. Like like I can feel my cheeks, my chest, like everything getting red right now because of stupid shit like this.
Well, it's sad because this is just the other side of the coin, really. At the end of the day, it's bad writing and
it's no South Park. They were trying to say that this is the South Park of X.
Thank you for bringing that up, Price.
This is not South Park.
No,
of X.
they don't understand South Park at all because South Park. It gets away with doing what it gets away with doing because they take a shots at everybody. Nothing is sacred. Nobody is off to the table. The only thing I could say South Park is never going after is kids. Like as far as actual living children, right? Like a child star or something like that. You know what I mean? Like they never even made like whatchamacallit joke about how dare you chick.
Right.
Oh, Greta Thunberg?
Greta Thunberg, yeah. So, like, I mean, they know there's like a line that they won't cross, and that's it. Otherwise, everything else is on the table, but nothing else is sacred. So the problem you have is when you treat. Go ahead.
How dare you?
Well, here's the other part too that's missing from this show, and also what's missing on the opposite side is subtlety. There's no subtlety to any of this.
No, I was going to
it's
say
all on the nose. I mean, listen, that's what the woke and these uber cons, and I don't, not as in conservatives, but as in con artists think is like, yeah, you just have to be straightforward and people will buy into it. It's like, no, they won't. You want to have
I'm not.
You want them to be, you want to take your audience as that they're intelligent and they'll pick up on the stuff that's that you're trying to subtly convey, whether it's a message or a moral point or some sort of observation that you think is absurd that you want to make fun of. That is what makes the audience actually want to come back because they're like, oh, that's really clever. I mean, that's why Jerry Seinfeld was so huge, is he was the observational comic who pointed out oddities within our society that people were like, yeah, I recognize that. And isn't that funny that it doesn't work that way?
Well, and here's the other problem I see that, and I think Script Doctor and I could probably script doctor this into an actual decent show. Because I think what you could do with what you have working here, like let's talk about that bit where I was bitching about show us, don't tell us. Like let's take that idea for a show where you have like a character who's an Archie Bunker type, but the catch is that everybody jumps to the conclusion, like they do in this show, that he's racist and all that other stuff. But it's not about that. It's about the other thing, and that they're learning from each other, right? Like the problem is here is this is still dumping on the left. Right? It's mean-spirited towards the left. And that's not what worked about All in the Family, and the same thing about South Park. All in the Family showed you both sides.
The other thing I went to Second City once years ago, and one thing I will always remember that I was told about comedy when I went there was that the most important thing to remember is you don't know that you're being funny. Like the character you're writing, or if you're acting, don't present it in a way where, oh, this is really funny. If you're ignorant to the humor in the way you write it, in the way you act it, it's more like you'll get more out of the audience, right? Don't write the joke like, oh, hey, I'm writing a joke and I'm saying it like, hey, that kind of ignorance, that unawareness is going to get you a lot more mileage.
Oh yeah, it's about commitment to the role itself. It's, you don't want to stop, do a wink and tongue in cheek look to the audience type of thing, like, hey, isn't this funny? Which oh man, there's a short sitcom that had starred Tom Arnold where that's what he was doing. Like Tom Arnold was playing a character who was doing that in the fictional show, and no, everybody hated it. And then the actual show that Tom Arnold was doing at the same time of that fake show, they hated that too. That canceled it. But that was like the thing. It was trying to convey, like, hey, if you're going to be a performer, commit to the role. Don't let the audience know that you're in on the joke. Have fun with it. Be authentic to what it is. And then one of the best rules of comedy is that never make your character aware of their flaws. And
exactly.
There you go. Thank you.
Like a rainbow character in this show. Don't make them just like throw it in your face, nose on. They should actually not be aware. And that goes for both. The Archie Bunker guy too. He should not be
exactly.
aware.
Well, and it's not even so much not be aware of, and it kind of going off of what I was saying before. Maybe this will explain what I was trying to say better before. The thing with Archie that is different is people come in with this preconception or notion of what Archie is or who he is, right? Like even ask anybody who's never seen All in the Family about the show, and the first thing they'll say, "Oh, it's about this racist guy living with a bunch of progressives." It's like, no, that's not what the show really is. Maybe on its surface level, maybe in a tangential way if you look at it that way. But what it is yes, Archie has these views. At first, generally 9 times out of 10, it seems like he's wrong and there's no reason for him to have these, whatever issue it is. And by the end of the episode, generally, you will learn why Archie feels that way. He will generally admit that he's wrong. He also give you a side of or reason why he feels a certain way. Is it justified? Not always. But at least it gives you an idea of who this character is and where they come from. And guess what? Even though you may not agree with everything that Archie feels, by the end of the show, you end up liking the guy. Because you spent a half hour with him instead of just prejudging him because he said something stupid.
So,
you know, it's
like Tubi, and so I grew up. I didn't grow up with like cable and stuff like that. So like the local stations here in the Dallas area was like 27.1, 27.2, and 27.3. They had like they air like the old like Newlyweds and Archie Bunker and stuff like that. And I'm just like, the older I get, I was like, yeah, you know, he's not wrong. I mean, he's not right, but I'm just like, it touches on because it touches on stuff that that doesn't change whatever the age that it was created, if you don't mind my saying. And if I'm talking smoke on my ass or I'm derailing,
I mean, at least from
it's like you get from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, like it doesn't change, and it's just like it's the same shit, different day, in my opinion.
Well, I think maybe where you're going with it, or what you're trying to say, or at least from what I'm perceiving, what you're saying is like, yes, you can still do political and modern day humor and have it work. I mean, not only is All in the Family a good example of it, but like Family Ties, great fucking example of it. It never gets brought up because the whole show is based on, it's like reverse. It's basically reverse All in the Family. If you think about it, because it's the kid who's the conservative and the parents who are the progressives, right? And so you have this dynamic. But what the thing is just like with Archie, everybody fell in love with Michael J. Fox, right? And at the end, by the end of the day, it was the same thing with All in the Family. A lot of people just didn't really like Meathead all that much.
Well, they knew what he was, which is that a lot of the times of the hippies, you knew that they were not actually really liberals. They were people that just were trying to take advantage of what that movement was and push things beyond the boundary. Yeah.
And the thing is Archie was never a bad guy. He always wanted to be a good guy, right? And usually the place that Mike would come from would be that he's just trying to charge Archie with, oh, you're just being a bigot. Oh, you're just being a racist.
Or unreasonable.
Or unreasonable. That was another one of his big ones was unreasonable. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he ever really called him a racist, but he just said, you're not being like respectful. You're acknowledging him of this instead of that. Like,
you're right. I think you would usually word it in a way like, well, that's a racist point of view, Watch, you know, something like that. But yeah, I don't think you ever flat out called him that. You're right. But yeah,
no, it's, I mean, even though they disagreed, Mike still really actually cared and respected Archie because number one, I mean, he's helping him put him through school. He's married his daughter. Like he's got to live with this guy. So he never really crossed any crazy line. But I do.
All this is doing is reminding me how good of a show All in the Family is.
Oh, it's a brilliant.
All the Family is fantastic.
I'm glad I got my box set. They can't touch it.
Well, one of the things that made it so well is that regardless of how Archie kind of spoke out, you knew that he actually really did care and love his family.
Well, that's what I was saying. He wanted to do the right thing. Yeah.
Even though he kept on calling Edith a digmat, it wasn't because of who she is. It was because she'd say something that he thought was stupid. But any time that she was in peril or felt sad or something, he was there to literally like hold her and say, you are the most important thing in my life. That's what people fell in love with most because they're like,
he always stood up for her too.
Yeah. And then, he'd basically make like off collar, jokes. He'd make fun of the Polish people a lot. He liked Lionel, the next door black kid. Neighbor, like he liked him a lot, but he'd always say the silly things with like, oh, it's okay, he's one of the good ones, but he's saying that as an offense to Lionel as opposed to the possible racism that the other person he's introducing him to would most likely have. And I'm like, that's kind of funny because it's like he's basically saying, yeah,
well, and that's just showing you that he has such a narrow worldview, right? Like that's Archie's problem. Like I said, from the go before, like his whole thing is set from whatever it was happened to him at some point with somebody, and you'll usually find that out by the end of the episode, right? And then at that point is when Archie realizes how unreasonable he's being or whatever, like you said before, like Mike would say. And then he would come around to it in some way. And I mean, some of the greatest episodes is when Archie is realizing how hypocritical or unreasonable or how silly he's being about something, especially when he's prejudging somebody or a situation. But I mean, a lot of times Mike is also shown up in certain ways too by, like I said, the fact that we like Archie. Like you just said, he genuinely wants to be a good guy. He genuinely cares about his family. He may be prickly, but at the end of the day, that's all he wants to do is, the right thing and be a good person, really. He may be a jerk about it sometimes, but it's just because he's so grounded in his beliefs in the era that he comes from. And that was also a great dynamic of the show, was the clashing of the eras, right? You had, the one that come from one generation to the, it's a great show. I don't want to dwell too much on it because we're going to be wrapping it up pretty soon.
I just want to say that
if you guys want to say more about this show, please.
Right. This show I wanted to say, and this is a really bad thing to say, but I have no other way to say it, that it reminded me of when I watched Velma, and like, instead of doing even some kind of funny critique, it was just Velma standing there like, look, he's a privileged rich white person and I don't like that, or whatever it is. This is what that feels like. It's just kind of like what everybody was saying on the nose. Once you can't think of a funny way of doing it, it just comes out really, really bad.
Yeah, it's simple. In simple points, it really is just the other side of the message. And even though, once again, it's something that a lot of people, like whether you're on the right, the center, or left, if there's something there that's a little bit more underlying rather than overlaying, people can see a lot of things and forgive it if there's a quality aspect to something or if there's details to it. But nowadays, with everything being so on the nose in your face, now that's literally happened on both sides. We're so fatigued out and burnt out from it. Why can't we just have stuff that is either A, apolitical, or B, if you're going to be political, you can either do a great government conspiracy movie, those never get old, or C, go for both sides. Go like, if we're going to, this is how it's going to be, then go for both sides. But on top of it, you got to be funny with this stuff. And I say this as a lover of stuff like South Park and satire. This stuff is not funny. It's just not. It is absolutely horrible to watch. And it's sad because there's a lot of great stuff you can do out of this that should make for golden comedy that, of course, a lot of our mainstream comedians are clearly afraid to touch nowadays.
Speaking of detail, you notice the lack of detail in the scene? Like, you have this picture frame in the background. There's nothing in the picture frame.
It's very.
And the wife is just staring blankly. Like,
I can forgive that.
There's no
They're probably on a more
but-
limited budget. I can forgive little things.
But
like
here's
that.
my thing,
But-
and the other thing, I get where you're coming from, but beyond that, I can't look. I'll be honest with you. I can't believe Norman Lear's family hasn't come after them yet. This looks like a straight up
That's their set.
rip off of
They
All in
just
the
changed
Family.
the color of the walls.
Like, if you showed this to me and said they're doing a new animated All in the Family show, I'd believe you.
Yeah.
This is so close to the mothership, even if it's a bad rendition of it, that if I was a lawyer, I'd be watering at the mouth right now going, let's sue. Because this is definitely infringing on so many intellectual copyrights when it comes to All in the Family. You got look, you got characterizations, you've got the entire setup of the show.
You have a
Not
dynamic.
to mention the set, the dynamic, everything is there.
Yeah.
The only thing that's missing is a wife thus far that we see. But
No, the wife is the redhead in the back. But
that's what I say. Are
made
they
her fat instead of
divorced
thin.
or what?
We don't know.
Because she comes in the door like she don't live there no more. That was what I was thinking. But then again, you could be right. That's just the wife and whatever. Either way, that might be the only thing that's not close enough to Edith yet. But even the daughter being a progressive daughter, then you introduce a kid, a progressive guy that's whatever living there.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same fucking show. Like a lawyer, like I said, there's no way you can deny that this is not the same fucking show.
I mean, it's too bad. I mean, it's too bad of a rendition for it to be considered the same in that regard. It's
No, but in the sense that it is a straight up bad ripoff, right? Like, it's not even, we're inspired by, fuck you. No, this is, That's Archie Bunker, right? Like it's a cartoon version of Archie Bunker. Give me a break.
Mm-hmm.
And like we just said, that is their house.
Yep. The only difference I see is that they appear to be located in Chicago or Illinois instead of New York.
Yeah.
Based on the friends wearing his Blackhawks paraphernalia.
And he's got a neighbor friend who he works with who's also black. Yeah.
And his boss.
And his boss. So yeah, I don't know. That smells like a lawsuit to me. Parody is one thing. This ain't parody.
No.
No, I don't think the people who wrote that
awful.
understand what parody is.
No, not at all. This I feel like my comedy spirits got violated watching that. It was so horrendous. And it just gives that bad stench that people on the other side can't do culture, even though those who look beyond the surface know that obviously that's objectively false. But because they're captured with that stigma attached to it for the last few years, all it does is further amplify that for those who feel that way, because you made them a little bit validated in that point, even though that's once again not 100% accurate. But in more recent times, it makes it look right.
Yeah. Well, that being said, we got a super chat here. Kenneth Dowling sends in 10 and says, I won't fight you on Spectacular Spider-Man. It had some good stories and a good momentum. I prefer the 90s. Chrissy X-Men is okay. If I were you, just watch the original. Great to see you again. Yes, it is.
Hello.
Yeah. And with that, I think we're going to be wrapping things up here shortly because I know the debates will be starting soon and all that business.
People are actually going to watch the debate.
Oh, that's all people are talking
it's
about.
basically a drinking game to see how many times Biden forgets to say a proper word.
Oh, the hospitals are going to be full tonight.
Yeah, they probably will.
Laughing at that.
This time they'll actually have a shortage of beds, unlike from 3 years ago. They'll actually have a shortage.
Well, we'll see how things go here in the next few hours. But yeah, I want to thank all you guys for popping in here, and thank you, Christy, for popping in. It was fun to talk to you. It's been too
You're
long.
welcome. You want to know who I'm voting for?
No,
The same people I vote for every year is for president.
Donald Duck.
Mickey Mouse and Elvis Presley.
No, I was close.
That works.
Yeah, you're halfway there.
Shit. Oh, let's see. Price, what you got coming up? You got a show tonight, don't you?
Yeah, I have the Quantum Leap with script. It's a really good episode. It's the Leap Home Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I know a lot of people are going to be watching the debate, and I understand that. But if there's people that aren't in the mood for politics, then they may enjoy our stream.
You might get lucky, and there might not be that much overlap.
Oh, I'm sure I'll be gone by then. So
yeah, I was going to say
from that.
So I think it's supposed to be starting here pretty shortly.
Is it an hour debate or a 2 hour debate? Because it's not necessarily
know.
technically the presidential, because the nominees for each party have not been officially selected yet. So
That's a good question. I'm not sure on that. It might only be an hour debate.
Starting in half an hour.
Probably go
and
maybe
go off the
90 minutes at
entry and
best.
all that.
I know it starts at 8 Central. That's all I know.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
9 Eastern, 8 Central.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if it's in 1 hour or 2 hour, but indeed. So check out Price of Reason's channel in a little bit for the Quantum Leap stream, and a script will be there as well, it sounds like. Nick Weiser, what you got going on? TNT?
Oh yeah, I'll be on TNT tonight. Tomorrow night, of course, Klobby's Comic Shop Friday night show as well, because we did rename our show to Klobby's Comic Shop. And of course, Toxic Tuesday next week, Independence Day, we'll be talking.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm going to try to get another video out in the next few days as well. And of course, you'll find me here Tuesdays and Thursdays. Good to hang out with you in the panel, and good to meet Christy for the first time. And to the chat, I'll see a lot of you soon. Thank you.
Hello. I creep in comics divisions live streams where you're on.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I like this guy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Some of that stuff I'm just like, oh no, that's kind of but for the most part, everybody's a-okay on this panel.
Oh, thank you.
For the most part, screw you.
These guys are all better.
Well, I'm
I
never
know what
going
she
to.
means by that. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm never going to begrudge
Anti-Canadian, that's what it
anybody
is.
their opinion on fucking anything. Like it, you can't change something the way you feel about something, no matter what you think it is. Good, bad, or in between. Just like I think House of the Dragon is a fucking dog shit, and a year from now I'm going to be proven right.
It sounds like it could be in trouble,
Maybe.
but I haven't watched it. I just, as in from an outside observation.
Can I be really stupid and bitch about it for like the next 30 seconds?
Sure.
So Helena and Aegon are supposed to have a third child. That third child does not appear in this series. Meaning, when Aegon's son was killed, Aemond is the new, technically, the heir to the throne in the Green Camp. But and he only has a son. He only has a daughter to inherit. I'm just saying. I don't. I'm a
fool me once, fool me twice. They did it with Game of Thrones. I want to make sure it ends well before I
it's
commit
just
to
like
it.
it's so infuriating, but at the same time, I don't have the heart to be like, you like something, I'm not going to shit on you liking the show, because that's too negative in my opinion.
Yeah. Well,
10 years,
you'll
5
have to
years
see
ago,
how it
I've been
ends.
like, fuck y'all.
Because I didn't get on Game of Thrones train yet, and I'm kind of glad I did the way it ended. And this one, I'm kind of the same boat with you and I think CC. We're just like, I'm gonna wait, see how it goes.
Yeah.
But,
it's been all
with
right
that,
until now.
yeah, CC will have Friday night karaoke. We usually do, I imagine.
That is correct.
Anything else?
Tomorrow night.
All right,
That's
sounds
it.
good.
Karaoke tomorrow night.
Check out Scripps.
Friday.
Check out Scripps Patreon and his YouTube channel. Was there anything? Was there anything else?
I've got my interview with Michael Davis dropping there tomorrow morning.
There you go.
And when YouTube decides to render the HD version of it, it'll drop on YouTube eventually. It's been stuck on SD for the last day.
Weird.
Yep.
I'd almost maybe reload it up just because there's a problem, maybe.
Yeah, I might do that.
But Chrissy, was there anything else you wanted to plug since you're here?
I mean, if you want to go on Twitter, and you can follow me on Twitter if you want. Like, I did a live stream. It's yeah. I don't do anything. It's not a priority, but I support your content creators that you like. Watch their streams, like, comment. Honestly, what I do is like, I disliked this stream just so it might be like, it might pop up in the algorithm and stuff like that. I don't know if YouTube is broken or not, but I tend to do that a lot. I'm just like, yeah, I dislike, and I even leave a comment too.
YouTube's broken. And
I knew I was the person you were talking about.
Interaction is good in any way, shape, or form.
At the end of the day, that's what I like to see is, I don't know. It's my prerogative from streaming starting in 2019 to today is it's awesome that people can still come together, and you don't like something or you do like something, but in the end of the day, it's middle ground. So
Yeah.
I think it's missing from a lot of quote unquote fandoms of certain groups and stuff like that. And I don't know. I'm gonna be smoking. He's like, who is Christy? Christy is someone who hasn't streamed in a long
Christy
fucking time.
is somebody who used to hang out with us all the time back in the day, and she would bop in whenever there was something she wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And her and I would bicker so much that people thought we were married.
Absolutely.
We got internet married and internet divorced. So now she is my internet ex-wife, and I have to pay her support.
Like, my streams, like, people know me from the People Walmart streams. And they're like, Christy, why don't you do those streams anymore? People Walmart is literally an archive now of stuff. So it doesn't, like, benefit me to do anything. And so I will say this at the end of the day. If you are monetized, don't turn off your monetization like I did, because you can't get it back.
Yeah, YouTube's they
Ruh-roh,
want to keep all
George.
the money for themselves.
Exactly. Like
But yeah, if you want to check out some fun streams from back in the day, the Walmart streams were always fun and stuff.
although those are great though, but those are private now. I got
Oh,
in
are
trouble
they?
with
Oh,
a lot of I got in trouble with a lot of people, and I am that kind of person. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna private this stream.
Well, hopefully we see you back again soon. But it was fun
Who
to
knows?
get to hang out with you for a little bit, and
It
it's
was.
good to see you again.
It was
So
great.
that's what Christy
I love
is.
being here.
So take care of yourself and each other. We'll see you very soon, guys. Bye.
Remember to wash your hands and wash your ass.
Don't.